Hey guys, welcome back. Robocraft early access coverage. This is episode 112. I'm Enigmius, and today we're continuing the preliminary construction of the plasma bomber we started in the last episode. Today we're finishing, just tweaking the last few components, getting them into place where we want them, and then we're going to take them into the practice map and kind of get a feel for how it's going to perform. Very important, the practice map. People kind of get caught up in the bots that you fight in the practice map don't really shoot back, and if they do, they don't really represent anything more than like tier 0 bots and all this other stuff. And for me, a lot of it is just about getting a feel for how my bot handles. That has nothing to do with shooting before I take it into real matches and find that the bot likes to flip over all the time, or that the bot is impossible to control, or any number of things that can go wrong in the handling side of things that are very easy to work out with a few trips to the practice map once you've got the majority of the build taken care of. And that's basically where we're at now, is we're trying to find a home for these tier 9 electroplates, and then that'll be it. Then we'll be into the practice map, and we'll be getting a feel for what things want to do. Now, there's a lot of talk lately about people leaving matches before the match is over. People who leave the match as soon as the match starts. People who leave the match when they get the feeling that their team is about to lose, or that their team can't win, so to speak. And I understand. There's definitely an element of poor sportsmanship in people who are leaving for some of those kinds of reasons. That they're mad at their team because they don't think their team is doing the right things, so they leave the map, or leave the match early, or all this other stuff. And it's one of those things where it becomes such a problem. There's just so many people doing it because they've seen other people doing it, and they realize, wow, I don't have to suffer through this crap either. That the developers have to step in and take steps to change things. And it, for those who actually have legitimate reasons where they have to step out, or for the people who got disconnected while they were loading into the match, or all these other situations where it's not a case of people abusing the ability to leave a match early, and it is very much a case of people having, priorities above and beyond the game, it becomes kind of unfortunate. So one of the things that I look at for the practice map is that whether the bots there are a really good challenge, a good way to see what my offensive capabilities are like, or how well my bot can survive. That's kind of secondary to just getting her into a map and tooling around for a little while and getting a feel for how my bot handles. Is it controllable? Is it reliable? Is it effective over a variety of different terrain types? Now, obviously, for a bomber, we're not worried about how well it handles over various different terrain types, but we are worried about whether, very simple things like whether or not the bot can fly on the level by itself. Can you just gonna get it set up flying straight across and then leave it alone and it'll keep going that way, or is it going to pitch up or down or sideways, or how is it going to respond? Because things like that have an impact on how well you perform in the game, in real matches against real players. Because if you're having to divert a lot of your effort and attention to keeping your bot under control, it makes aiming and gathering situational awareness that much more difficult. We can only concentrate on so many things at a time. So we look at a bot like this, that's not particularly large. We understand that wings are vulnerable, and potentially we're going to be shot down very easily if we get focused, or if the wrong kind of bot happens to get our attention. Things like that, those are going to have an impact on, what we get out of the game and how well the bot performs. But first and foremost, being able to control our own bot so that we can go where we want to go when we want to go there is kind of key. So for the people that are kind of zoning into matches and realizing, oh, my bot doesn't turn properly, or my bot just kind of likes to do backflips all the time and all those other things, and then leaving their team behind, don't do that. Go to the practice map, get it sorted out, save your team the grief of having you leave. Now, this is an example. With the rudders the way they are, horizontally, this bot likes to slip around a lot. And it has a very pronounced tendency to pitch up all by itself. It doesn't need any prompting from me. So I took the two front wings off to see if wing positioning was having an impact on its tendency to want to pitch up, and it helped. By removing the front wings, actually, it did help. It wasn't pitching up as aggressively, but it was still slipping, and it was still pitching up, and just really not very easy to control at all. So, I mean, that to me is, sometimes you can't necessarily gather exactly what you need to change from something like that. All you know is there's a problem, and you really want to get it fixed before you continue on with any other part of the build, or, you know, much less taking it into real matches. You can see I forgot to turn on mirror mode for the building, so I've only got one wing on that side. That's okay. I edited out the part where I went into the practice map with just one wing on the one side, but now you can see, again, it wants to pitch up all by itself, and with the rudders horizontally, it still wants to slip. It just likes to drift off to the side at every opportunity. And again, the difficulty is not so much that it's doing these things, it's that it's doing them to such an extent that it's really, really difficult to try and concentrate on anything else like aim. And that's kind of an important thing, is being able to aim. You see, we ducked in and we tried something else and it didn't really work. But we've got the rudders vertically now, and that's going to be instrumental in dealing with the slipping problem. But now we have this issue of thrusters that are all kind of below the pilot seat, and I got the feeling that maybe if I moved some of them around and got them up above the base of the pilot seat in terms of the elevation on the bot, that maybe that might help with its tendency to want to nose up all the time. And really, it's quite a pain in the butt when it wants to. All it ever wants to do is nose up. If you so much as zoom in for a second or two to do anything other than control the bot, it noses up. And when you stop zooming, you see where your bot is. You're like, wow, this thing is basically flying itself, and it's not doing a very good job of it. So we'll tweak things, and we kind of move things around. We got some new mounts going in for the thrusters, moving the front thrusters to the back and above the pilot seat, hoping really that this thing will get you know, to a point where we would like it to fly level on its own, but it's not necessarily a requirement. As long as we can, you know, take some time to zoom in, aim some shots, look around, do what we need to do without having to, you know, completely readjust the bot's orientation when we're done, because it's just so quick in going out of control that you have to, you know, you've only got 2 or 3 seconds at any given time to go do something else before it's completely vertical. I had originally tried with a pair of thrusters taken from the front underneath the original placement and basically attaching them to the sides of the cockpit area, and it just did like a forward flip into the ground. That's what you saw. I'm trying to kind of edit out a lot of the really superfluous attempts at correcting things, because otherwise they're just too many and it's a little bit overwhelming. But in this case, the position that we've got it now in the back above the base of the pilot seat, and you know, kind of hopefully offsetting the tendency for the thrusters underneath to want to scoop the bot upwards and flip it around, will go a long way to giving us that little bit of extra control that we need. And with that comes the understanding that we need to kind of protect those thrusters a little bit, because as soon as they get, you know, blown off, we're going to be back to the same situation where things are going to be misbehaving whether we want them to or not. And obviously, when we're talking about control elements misbehaving, there's really not too many times when we actually want them to. So we're just kind of taking a look at, once it's mounted, we've got a little bit of protection for it now from ground fire coming up from underneath. There's still a little bit of the thrusters hanging out the back end that could get tagged, and also they're extremely vulnerable from the sides, but there's only so much we can do, and thrusters, as we know, are not necessarily poorly armored. They're known for their armor and the ability to basically clad a bot in thrusters and have the bot last longer than some of the better armor designs in certain cases. So now we're just doing a little bit of tweaking, redistributing the mass a bit, so to speak, hopefully, is kind of the idea that I had in mind, is give it a little bit more mass in the front so that it maybe wants to pull itself down to offset that lift that's going on. I kind of like the look of the bot, the way it's turning out. It's very, very simple. If we were to stop and rebuild this bot from the beginning, without all the fiddling around, it wouldn't take very long at all. There's not necessarily anything that's particularly complicated about this, but it does have kind of its own special, unique look to it. As long as it performs, that's kind of the thing. So, switching things around, seeing how they're going to behave, and then we get it into the practice map, and hopefully, if we're lucky, it's just going to take off and be everything that we ever hoped it would be. Or it could be a gigantic turd. Now, it climbs well. Not surprisingly, the bot that wants to pitch up climbs well, but once it gets to the altitude that we want, it's not nearly so difficult to maintain level flight as it was previously. It'll still want to pitch up on its own, but it's a lot easier to get under control and get some level flight in so that we can zoom in, we can look around, we can do all those things that we want to do that don't necessarily involve controlling the bot. But if we get carried away, this is what happens. We basically stalled. We're falling to the ground now, backwards, having essentially stalled in vertical flight when we hit the ceiling of the world. So we had to get back under control. That could be catastrophic. So there may be some tweaks that we kind of work out along the way as we're testing the bot in real matches now, but I'm satisfied, you'll see, after flying around in the practice map like this, that it's something that we can work with, and hopefully something that we can contribute to our team's success with when we take it into real matches, as long as we're on the ball and remembering that we can't just expect it to fly itself, you know, the way we would like it to be flown. It'll fly itself, but we have to kind of correct it from time to time. So I'm going to let you watch the rest of this practice match footage, or practice map footage. It's kind of an edited trip from OC level 0 to 13. So you can see some of the handling, some of the targeting, some of the, you know, various different things that are going on. Once I start to get a feel for the bots, I think it could be a pretty good one. Or it could just be, like I say, a great big turd. But we'll find out in the next episode when we take it into a real match or two and start to work out the kinks under enemy fire. So if you want to be notified when I add that video, you can always subscribe to my channel or follow me on social media. Links for social media are always in the information section below the video. Please leave your comments and feedback. Thanks for watching, guys, and take care.